Bet on Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the Designer is here. And ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about not only what we heard from Kevin Warren today in London, but Ryan Poles' conversation as well. We get a Jaquan Brisker update. We'll probably start with that. All that and more in today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave the 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love as you always do. It's my favorite time of day, my time that I get to spend with you. Let's jump into this, man. First off, we get the update. Jaquan Brisker is out for this game. I think that is a blow to the Chicago Bears defense, but it's not one that I don't think that they can overcome. Somebody I'm going to be keeping my eye on in this whole scenario is Kevin Byard. I think that he's somebody who has been a phenomenal player. People are talking about him having a bounce back season. I don't think bounce back is really the word. I don't think he ever left. I think realistically speaking, you're talking about a young man who was going, well, I guess not a young man, but you're talking about a player who was going through what Philadelphia has been going through over the last year and a half right now. You're talking about a player who's been dealing with trying to fit into that system and figure out, kind of where he makes his hay, where he comes to the Chicago Bears. You're one of the leaders on this team. We're going to work ourselves around what you're able to do. We think that you're able to play this game very well. We understand how you take away the football. I believe right now he has the most interceptions of anyone active. I think he's somebody to really keep your eye on heading into this game versus the Jacksonville Jaguars because of the fact that this is the one time we're going to get to see him without Jaquan Brisker standing next to him. How much has Brisk affected that? Not to say that it's been a complete and total, like you're only good because Jaquan Brisker is standing next to you, but that you feel like, this is a guy who is getting his game made easier because of the level of talent that he had next to him. Now, of course, with Brisk going out, right, we saw that play where he gets hit. This is due to concussion protocol where he lays out laid out, and it's not even Brisker's fault, right? Like Brisker's stuck in the concussion protocol because he was dealing with concussion like symptoms. But let's be 100% honest. Jaquan Brisker came in with the intent to tackle with the shoulder. Ryan Poles even said as much today. I thought that he had a good approach to trying to make the tackle. I thought that he was on line to try and make the big stop there. But then you look at who was the Panthers receiver on that? Was that Sanders? I think Sanders was the one that got laid out in that situation. Well, I guess I can see here. Let me look at the numbers real quick. Who fumbled on the day? That will tell me all that I need to know. That was Tremble that did that actually, because that was a fumble there. You look at the fact that Tremble got his clock cleaned. I said clock, ladies and gentlemen, CLOCK, and that he ends up fumbling because of that. Yeah, you lower your head. You're trying to lay the boom. There's certain players you can't do that with. We talked about how Jaquan Brisker is not one of those guys with Lance Briggs on the episode on Monday. If you missed that with me and Shay Norling and him, make sure you tap into that. Like, I just think that you're in a position right now where you have a player on your team that is an absolute monster in Jaquan Brisker. I love the energy he brings. I love the fact that he was going in trying to do things the right way. But hey, if you want to get wild out here, we can get wild. But listen, hearing that he's not going to be available for this game, really want to see the impact that has on the Chicago Bears on the back end of this defense. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I think that this is going to be something to definitely keep an eye on, but probably not something that is the end of the world. Wanted to give that injury update because we had talked about Jaquan Brisker being out. Now he is officially out, and I think that makes a big difference in what the Chicago Bears are going to have going on in Jacksonville, or should I say in London, across the pond a little bit, darling, in London this coming Sunday at 8:30 in the morning. Make sure that you guys are tapped in with us because 8:30 a.m. game. That means that we're on the Chicago Bears post game show probably at 2, I would say, right around there. So you got some time. But I love morning football. It's gonna be a long time from that bye week though until our next game, because you get morning football. We're gonna see a full slate of games. It's gonna feel like 2 bye weeks as a fan in a row. So that's gonna be interesting to see how we feel about that. But I say all that to say that was kind of the news of the day, that Brisker is designated out. The other news of the day is now all eyes on Kevin Warren. Listen, he still is pushing the fact, and respectfully so. I like the fact that you want to keep the stadium in Chicago, but that he is going to have shovels in the ground to be building a new stadium in the city of Chicago in 2025. Now, if you have forgotten, the Bears have proposed spending $2.3 billion to build an enclosed stadium just south of Soldier Field. They're seeking $1.5 billion in taxpayer financing and another $1.5 billion in public infrastructure. Now, that has made this very, very difficult. And I do often wonder if Kevin Warren came into this situation not understanding how different Chicago politics is from Minnesota politics, if he was a little bit surprised by it. Not to say that he hadn't done his research on it, but if he kind of came in with the mindset of, hey, you know what I mean? We'll figure it out. I'm good at what I do. There's a reason they brought me in here. I'm going to be the one to get this done. Not to say that he can't. I'm not saying that this stadium won't be built in Chicago. And I love the fact that he continues to emphasize that they are the biggest landowner in Arlington Heights right now, because that is basically his fallback plan if this does not end up happening. But at the end of the day, you're looking at a situation with the Chicago Bears stadium build that you're kind of in a no-win situation here by trying to build this thing downtown. I mean, if we're being honest, you're not owning the stadium. You're still having to fight with the Friends of the Park, which is, the recent update with them is basically that they oppose this stadium. Oh my God, Chicago, big shock. The Friends of the Park are not in favor of anything. I'm sorry. Like, this is a uphill battle that I don't think that is worth the time that the Chicago Bears are going to invest into it. I think that you could have had shovels in the ground already. You could have been in a situation where you're now building this stadium up, preparing for your team to be there, 2028, 2029, somewhere in that scenario. If we're being 100% honest about this situation, does it not feel like, at least to us, the fans, that this is not going to get done here in Chicago, that this is going to be a situation where Kevin Warren is going to fight and fight and fight and go, you know what? How about we take our talents to Arlington Heights, because that's where we're headed right now. I understand the want. And you know what? I'll say this. As a Bears fan, I respect the want. I respect the want to put this stadium in the city. I respect the want, and I understand it from a business standpoint as well, but I expect the want to keep the Chicago Bears in Chicago. I think that my expectation of where this team is going to end up is not where Kevin Warren's want is, but I respect you wanting to do this. But at this point, let's be realistic about the scenario that we're in. They won't even bring the stadium situation up when they're having these political meetings down in Springfield. They're avoiding the stadium situation. They're literally going, are the Bears coming again? Why do they keep bringing this back? Don't they know we're not going to approve this? Get out of here. And the other thing for me, I don't go places where I'm not wanted. And if Springfield don't care enough to keep this team in Chicago, move on. I think you have opportunities. You have an opportunity to own your stadium, to not only be one of the biggest landowners, but one of the biggest businesses that Arlington Heights has ever seen. Why are you not looking to make that move? I understand all the people that are like, the Chicago Bears are in Chicago, supposed to stay in Chicago. This is where they were started off. This is where they're going to die. I get that. That's cool. That's cute. That's not the realistic world that we're living in right now, and it's not the world of politics that Chicago is offering up. I know that Mayor Johnson wants to keep this team in Chicago, but again, you have to fight with the people down in Springfield to get the public funding. At that point, you're not owning your own stadium. Is it worth it for you to even put yourself in this situation? That is the question that I posed to Kevin Warren, and I would love to ask him one day, because listen, I understand when he says, right, I want to make sure that any decisions we make don't create unintended consequences. At this point in time, selling stakes is not something we're focused on and exploring in Chicago. But I also realize kind of where this team, and that was about them possibly being privately funded, selling stakes to get into on a private equity firm. But I also understand the state is not going to help you. I've seen this done multiple times with stadiums that people are trying to build. Guess what? They're going to say, you're a billionaire, you build your stadium. And I don't know what side I land on at that. At the end of the day, if you're playing winning football there, we can all meet at freaking North Chicago football high school field. And I'll go out there and watch the Chicago Bears and I'll lose my mind just like I would over at Soldier Field. Like at this point, it's just about getting the deal done and having this team moving in the right direction when you get there. That's really what it comes down to. And that's why, when I listened to Ryan Poles' words today, by the way, if you haven't done so, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Let me know your thoughts on Kevin Warren trying to keep this stadium downtown, being so confident that this stadium is going to remain downtown. But when I hear Ryan Poles' words today about kind of the direction that this team is going, how he feels about where this team is at right now, I am encouraged. I feel like he thinks that this is going the right direction and it's going according to plan. Now, listen, I would assume that he did not think that his star quarterback was going to be getting hit nearly as much as he has been hit. But I think that the belief in Caleb Williams, the belief in what he's seen through 5 weeks, when he talked about Caleb Williams today, I don't know if you got this feeling about it, but it did not feel like he was at all worried about anything with what he's seen out of Caleb early on. In fact, I thought the very interesting point was when somebody asked him about, comparing Caleb Williams to Jayden Daniels and where he's at in that race. And I love the fact that he said Ryan Poles that he wants Caleb to run his own race and not compare himself to where Jayden Daniels has started in his career. To me, that is an admission. That is an understanding. Hey, listen, my quarterback has not been nearly as protected as Jayden Daniels has, and he's still, numbers-wise, keeping pace. My quarterback has not been nearly as set up for perfection the way that I think, surprisingly so, that Jayden Daniels has early on in his career. And guess what? He is still finding ways to figure things out. I love the fact that Ryan Poles talked about, how he's run this offense and how he's confident in what he's seeing out of his young quarterback. I think there's a lot of goods to take from what Ryan Poles said about where this team is at, because it does feel like he's not worried about some of the issues he's seen with the team, because that means that he's going to make adjustments with the team. Now, you guys know, I know, right? Like, I have been critical of the fact that you have put another quarterback behind an offensive line that is absolutely abysmal. And I think this game in London, you're going to see that good fortune that you built up versus the Panthers, that ain't it, right? That's not really where this team is at. But the fact that you can talk about growth, that you can talk about, I thought this was a very interesting quote out of Ryan Poles today. He said, I see a team that is learning, adapting, and growing and improving week by week. I've been very happy with the high level of communication from player to coach, coach to player, to find solutions and find ways to improve every single week. And sometimes in this league, that is hard. That, to me, I think speaks to kind of the culture that Ryan Poles has tried to build up here and where he feels the success of that culture is. And it feels like it's in a good place. The reason I say that is, did we not do this last season? DJ Moore, Justin Fields, Chase Claypool. How many people spoke up and said, Luke Getsy is a problem? I am not happy with Luke Getsy running. Now, they didn't say this outright, right? But the gist of it is, I'm not happy with where Luke Getsy is at right now. I don't think that he's running this offense well, and I think he needs to change things up. And what was Luke Getsy's response to that? We're not going to throw the football in the second half. We're not throwing the football downfield. We're not going to take shots. We're not going to attack because we don't believe that Justin Fields is good enough to do those things. So we're just going to avoid them altogether. Now, I don't know if that's exactly how Luke Getsy felt, but that's how it looked when you look back at the tape. When I look at this Chicago Bears team this season, when I look at the adjustment that was made from Matt Eberflus, basically calling it, I'm telling you guys, he basically saw Shane walking past, like, Shane, come on in here, dog. Let me show you something here real quick. Hold on. I got the TV in the back. Let me show you something here real quick. Yeah. What is that? What speed option on the goal line, Shane? Shane, what's that? What was the game plan there? What was the thought process you had there? Shane, let me show you another one here. Yep, 4th and 1. Roschon Johnson out there. 4 plays, no Roschon Johnson. What was that, Shane? Shane, what was that? Answer that question for me. Up, you want another one? You want? Let me show you one more time. Hey, Shane, what's going on here? Where you're basically just running DeAndre Swift up the middle like he's a power back. What's the answer there? The fact that you're seeing that early on, and then you hear about Mercedes Lewis and the rest of this team going in there and having the conversation with Shane about coaching this team differently. I understand why Ryan Poles feels the way he feels about the player coach relationship, about the development of this team, about where this team has gone to under Matt Eberflus versus where this team was coming from under Matt Eberflus. I thought it was also very interesting when he said a lot of times we're looking at problems, but you have to have a solution-based mindset. And that's exactly what our football team has done. That's what our players have done. And when you watch our games, I believe that you can see each and every week what is really exciting, or which is really exciting. And you can see the change in this team over the last couple of weeks. You can see how this offense has really come together. The defense is there. The defense has the answers it needs. The defense is ready to go out there and make the moves that it needs, right? There's not much. I mean, if you want to go all in this season, if you're Ryan Poles, I guess the option that you have that is the best case scenario option is probably to go all in on a guy opposite edge of Montez Sweat. But outside of that, you're not in this world beater position to go out there and add to this offensive line. You've got to deal with what you've got to deal with. And that's why some of the changes we've seen on the offensive line, some of the changes we've seen the Chicago Bears team make offensively, how they've gotten more up tempo, how they've kind of gone to Cole Kmet more in these situations, how they've gotten the football in DJ Moore's hands more in this situation, how they've been more willing to take the deep shots. Dare I say this team has saw what it was dealing with, saw the personnel that it had, and adjusted its game based on that. It's why I feel good about heading into this Jacksonville Jaguars game. It's why I feel like, while I do think, and I said this on a couple of episodes earlier this week, I think Jacksonville has the advantage. I think that they're a team that you look at and you say, hey, this team's really got they understand, while they're still a bad football team, they're still a bad football team. They're still a bad football team, but they understand this is what we got to do in London. This is how we prepare for this game. This is what we need to do to make sure that we're good to go on Sunday. You've got a rookie quarterback who hasn't been there. You have a offensive coordinator who hasn't been there. You have a defensive coordinator who hasn't been there. I don't believe Flus has been to London to this point. You have a plethora of players, probably outside of Jalen Johnson, who haven't played in a London game. I think Keenan Allen might have a London game under his belt. It's going to take an adjustment. But I even love what we heard today out of Caleb Williams, and or should I say out of DJ Moore when he was talking about Caleb Williams, where he said, listen, he demands that we're going to come out a certain way. He's a little bit bossy. Right. I love that to hear that out of my first year quarterback 5 weeks into the season, because it means that, hey, I have this is my expectation of where we're supposed to be. I understand where we are right now. This is where we have to get to. That's going to bode well for what you do this week going into this Jacksonville game. That's going to bode well for situations that make you uncomfortable. That's going to bode well for situations that may seem like a too tall of a hill to climb, because if you have that guy ready to climb that hill and goes, listen, if you're not on this journey with me, get out of the way. I think that those are things that you have to look at from Caleb Williams that we have seen over the first 5 weeks, how he's made adjustments, how he's changed his game through the first 5 weeks, and say, yo, it feels really good to have a quarterback that has that mindset on his shoulders right now, that head on his shoulders right now, right? Like, I think that this Bears team is in a really good position heading into this game. I expect the Bears to win. I don't think it's going to be in blowout fashion, but I'm always down for blowout fashion. But to me, you now have a little bit of momentum built up. You have an opportunity to do something that the Chicago Bears have not done. I don't know if people know this or not. Chicago Bears have not won 3 games in a row since the 2019 season to finish the season, for them to finish that season 8-8 to get into the playoffs. You have not won a game, 3 games in a row since 2019. That is 1 head coach ago. That is 2 quarterbacks ago. That is 1 GM ago. That is an entirely different defense ago. We were in a 3-4. You now have an opportunity to do something. And I think, to me, when you hear Caleb Williams talk, he knows that. He knows this is what we have to accomplish. He knows, hey, this is what's at stake in this game. I am not surprised at all hearing that Caleb Williams holds this standard of himself, holds his team to this standard. I am, in fact, excited to hear that we have a quarterback that is doing that, who is continuing to improve week by week. And this coming week, I mean, listen, my not to get too far in the weeds on a preview and stuff like that, because we still got Thursday, we still got Friday. We'll preview the game then. But my expectation of this team heading into this final week, or I'm sorry, this week 5, these final couple of days of the London game, is for this team to really lock in, to say, hey, look, I understand we have the 8 ball against us. It doesn't matter. We're the better football team. We're going to come out here. We're going to punch you in the mouth. Now, do I think that Jacksonville can come back from that? Yeah. Because I think there is a limitation to the human body where the jet lag and things like that may still take an effect, even though they got there early. But you have a quarterback whose mindset is, it doesn't matter what they do, we have to do this. That's a good feeling. It's not about what the coaches do. It's not about what the other players on the field do. It's about what we do to make sure that we finish this game out with a win. That's a good feeling. And I'm excited for the Chicago Bears to be going into this game, because if you can pull off 3 wins in a row, you go into the bye week, you've got Washington, you've got a nice little streak going. You're probably not overlooking Washington. And I'll tell you this, Caleb Williams hears what you guys say. Caleb Williams is hearing the Jayden Daniels comparison. Caleb Williams is hearing what's happening on the other side of the field, and the mindset that he has is, I'll show you guys what's really happening on the other side. I'll show you guys why it was better to pick me than to pick Jayden Daniels. We'll prove that when we get to Washington. And I'm excited about that. And I hope that we do see that. At the end of the day, this is a game that I'm very excited for. I think this London game is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. I'm always down for breakfast football too. That breakfast football is just a great thing to have. So I'm always down to kind of see how that plays out. It's not breakfast football for them over there. I think the game kicks off at 2:00 in their time, basically next week. But we'll see what ends up happening in that 8:30 in the morning game. Like I said, we will be live for the post game show at 2-ish our time. So it's a 2:00 kickoff over there. It's a 2:00 kickoff probably around that time for the post game show. Make sure to tune in with me, Jason McKee, and Jeff Meller as always. I'm gonna get up out of here, man. Let me know your thoughts on the stadium build. Let me know your thoughts on Ryan Pohl's confidence in this team, and let me know your thoughts on Jaquan Brisker not being able to travel. He will be out for this game, as I said early on in the episode. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love. Peace.